Analyzing the divine proportion or the golden ratio on the plan and facade of the churches in Famagusta walled city, North Cyprus. Table of contents. Abstract, keywords, introduction, golden ratio and Fibonacci numbers, numerology and the meaning of numbers in the Christian art, golden ratio in architecture before the 14th century, human body proportions, relationship of human body proportions with the architecture, golden ratio on the plan of the churches in Famagusta walled city, conclusions, references. Abstract. Religion had an important role in people's culture during the Middle Ages. In Christian communities, churches are God's house and the symbol of earthly heaven. As God creates the world and human beings with proportions, the churches should have proportions too. It's a question to the author if the plan and facade of the churches have the divine proportion or not. There is a research gap in the analysis of the proportions of churches in Famagusta walled city. This research aims to find out if the proportions of the remaining churches in Famagusta walled city are built according to the divine proportion. The methodology of this historical research is qualitative, quantitative, and comparative. The data collection techniques are based on literature review and observation. The result of this research is expected to be in new perspectives for understanding the proportions of the churches for architects, historical researchers, and conservationists. Keywords: divine proportion, golden ratio, Fibonacci numbers, Vitruvian man, churches, Famagusta walled city, North Cyprus. The golden ratio is the proportion which is if we divide A plus B to A, that is the ratio of A to B, and the number is phi, which is almost 1.6, then we can say that this rectangle has golden ratio. Fibonacci numbers. The Fibonacci sequences is a series of numbers which are added by the previous two numbers. That is, 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, and that is going on like this. So if we divide the Fibonacci numbers to the previous number, the ratio is near the number that is phi, that is 1.6. And the more this number grows, the more the ratio of the dividing of a Fibonacci number to the previous number becomes nearer to the exact amount of phi, that is 1.6. It has been said that the Pyramid of Cheops, the Parthenon Temple, the cathedrals of Notre Dame de Paris and Notre Dame of Laon has golden ratio on their facades and plans. At first, in 1490, Leonardo da Vinci drew a Vitruvian man, which shows that the human body inside a square and a circle with open arms, which suggested that the total heights of a human body and the total widths is the same. It also has said that the golden ratio is on the different parts of the body, including the face, hand, and all over the body of the human body has golden ratio. Here you can see two Vitruvian men drawn by Francisco di Giorgio, two Vitruvian men drawn by Fra Giovanni Giocondo, two Vitruvian men drawn by Cesare Cesarino. On the left, Toccola's Vitruvian man. On the right, the ground plan of a church corresponds to the proportions of human figure. On the left, matching a building layout with the human body. On the right, you can see the human body corresponds to the facade of a church building, and the human body corresponds to the plan of a church. On the right, it's Vitruvian man of Pietro Cateno. On the left, the Vitruvian Man of Giacomo Anderia, and on the right, the drawing of a man's body in pentagram suggests that it has golden ratio, drawn by Heinrich Agrippa. All the plans of the churches in Famagusta walled city are measured by laser meter by the author, and the total lengths and total widths and their ratio are gonna be seen in these tables. The ratio of total lengths to the total widths on the plan of St. Nicholas Cathedral is 1.7, 1.7 in St. Peter and Paul Church, 1.8 in St. George of the Greeks, 1.7 in St. Simeon Church, 1.5 in St. George of the Latins Church, 2 in Franciscans Monastery, 2.3 in St. Mary of Carmel, 1.7 in St. Anne Church, 1.2 in Nestorian Church, 1.9 in Templars, and 1.6 in Hospitaller Church. Then the facade, elevation, and section of the churches in Famagusta walled city, and the golden ratio and the proportion, if there is golden ratio on them, is going to be shown in these slides. You can see west facade and section of St. Nicholas Cathedral, section of St. Peter and Paul Church, section of St. George of the Greeks Cathedral, north elevation and section of St. George of the Latins Church, west facade of St. Mary of Carmel Church, section and southwest view of St. Anne Church, and north elevation of Nestorian Church. On average, the ratio of the lengths to the widths of the rectangles on the facade elevation of the selected churches in Famagusta is almost 1.5, which is almost feet, that is 1.6. Conclusions. Churches and cathedrals were considered the holy house of God, which represented the perfect proportions of the Holy Jesus Christ and or Holy Virgin Mary during the medieval era. The golden ratio is supposed to have the divine proportion, which is the perfect ratio of the lengths to the widths of a rectangle. When the precise dimensions of the case studies in this research are measured, the ratio of the total lengths to the total widths on the plan of the selected remain churches in Famagusta walled city is 1.7 on average, and the ratio of the lengths to the widths of the rectangles on the facade elevation section of the aforementioned churches is almost 1.5 on average, which are almost feet, that is 1.6. It can be concluded that the selected churches in Famagusta walled city are built according to the golden ratio, and the people who built these churches paid precise attention to the divine proportion for aesthetic reasons. A more detailed study and research can be done about the numerology and also the golden ratio on the proportions of the interior spaces of these churches, as numbers and divine proportion are important aspects of the architects of those days. These churches, just like all other precious historic buildings and sites all over the world, are belongings of all the people in the world, no matter what their nationality or religion, race or sect is. This precious heritage is not just the belongings of the people who are currently living on this planet Earth, as they do not just belong to their builders of the past time, but also they all belong to all the future generations too. Therefore, we have to do whatever we can, no matter what are the obstacles of the current situation, to make their life longer as a preservationist or conservation experts. Actually, all humans must respect all the historic buildings, no matter what their religion or nationality is, because all the cultural heritage is the precious souvenirs of our ancestors to us and also to all the future generations too. Here are the references, and thank you for your time and attention.